Our question of the day is, when will Jesus come?
I did say Tuesday, didn't I?
You did say Tuesday.
That was probably a false prophecy.
Yeah, you're a false prophet, are you, Lyle? I knew it! I knew there was something fishy about you.
All right, so let's go to our Bibles. Let's turn to our Bibles and let's find out what does the Bible say about when Jesus will come back. And we will go to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24 is probably the most famous passage in all the Bible talking about the return of Jesus. It is the second longest sermon recorded in the Bible that Jesus preached. It is all about the signs of his return and the events and so forth. And Jesus goes to great length here to tell us in verse 36, but of the day and the hour, in reference to his return, nobody knows. So nobody knows when Jesus is coming back. So you can safely say that if anyone comes to you with a date, this is the date for the second coming, or as a friend of mine who has been coming to me regularly over the last 12 months or so with dates for the rapture, these are false prophecies. Mm-hmm. Because the Bible says no, God has not revealed this information. He hasn't, God the Father in this case, did not even reveal that information to the Son. Mm-hmm. And so this is information that in the Godhead itself, the Son, as he was here on earth, as a human being, he did not even know that information, either because he hadn't asked the Father or because the Father had just said, don't ask. And so, that's the first point that we need to make. Nobody knows when Jesus is coming back. However, do we know how soon or when it will be soon that Jesus is coming back? Jesus says this, learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So likewise, when you see all these things, know that that is the second coming, is near, even at the doors. Almost here, right now. Okay, so what you've got to think about then is, what was Jesus talking about when he talks about the fig tree budding? If you go back through the chapter, you'll find that Jesus has listed off a whole bunch of events. And Jesus says when you see all of these events taking place simultaneously, and when you see all of these events getting closer and closer together and increasing in severity, then you know that this generation will not pass away until Jesus comes back. And so we can know that the return of Jesus Christ is very soon. We don't know how soon, we have no idea how soon, but we know that it's very soon because when we look at those signs of the times, as they are so famously called in the Bible, you can put any of those signs on a graph, on a chart. And we'll just flip back over there very quickly and look at a few. It says, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in different places. All these are the beginning of the birth pains. And so Jesus gives some rather unexciting signs here because they are signs that have happened throughout history. But then he goes on to describe them as being like birth pains. In other words, they're going to get closer and closer and closer together. They're all going to be happening simultaneously, and they're going to be increasing in severity very, very dramatically. Now, I challenge you to take any one of those signs right there, put it on a chart and see what happens. You think about this. It says warfare. It talks about warfare as being a sign that Jesus is coming back. Go back 150 years. That is not a long period of time. And most people in warfare 150 years ago were dying because they had been pierced by a metal object, a bayonet or a sword. Imagine how different that is today. When we fight warfare, from the other side of the world with little remote-controlled drones, have things changed dramatically?
Oh, so dramatically.
Within 150 years, we've gone from cold, hard steel and face-to-face conflict to conflict on the other side of the planet. We now have weapons of mass destruction that enable us to wipe out the entire population of the world in one day. Mm-hmm. That never existed 150 years ago. We can talk about earthquakes, and if you're wondering about earthquakes, scroll down through the Faith FM Facebook page and you'll find the 2 cents document that I put up there on earthquakes and how dramatically they have been increasing in the last 150 years. And no, it's not just because we've got better equipment. I'm only measuring big earthquakes that you don't need equipment to be able to measure. If we look at diseases and the way that diseases, it talks about pestilences, and that's diseases, and famines, and look at the drought that we are being faced with right here in Australia right now. These are dramatic events.
Well, can I just ask, what about those churches that do set times and dates for Jesus' return? What does that mean then?
It means they're a false church. That's a really simple answer.
Ooh, that's pretty controversial.
Just going by what the Bible says.
Very interesting. Well, thank you for answering that, Lyle. Really appreciate you taking the time to answer that. If you have a question, give us a call here at Faith FM. The number is 1-800-FAITH-FM, 1-800-324-843. Ask us any question about the Bible. We love that stuff. We love to answer them, and we'll use them on air. Thanks, Lyle.